Hi, Pam. We're glad you could join us.
I'm glad I was able to come. I saw the flyer hanging up at the center, and so I thought I'd give it a shot.
So you were mentioning that you were feeling a little sad and depressed and, maybe a little unhappy with the way things were turning out for you. How do you feel about how you are in your new, what I'll call your new body, but how you feeling, like how do you think you feel with the surgery aspect and how things have changed for you?
Lately, I'm just having a lot of pain in my chest and just can't do the things I would normally do. It's very frustrating. It's hard.
When were you diagnosed?
A year ago.
You're really young. You're new into this. So you'll get used to some of this. It'll subside. It'll get better.
What do you mean I'll get used to it? Because right now, I don't think I'm going to get used
Like
to it.
symptoms
It keeps
will
getting
lessen.
worse.
Yeah.
They will? So how long then?
It's been 3 years for me. So,
And what
yeah.
were all the symptoms that you had?
I'm just having some issues here and there. They kind of come and go. I ended up, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I had stage 3 when I was diagnosed. So I went through and kind of tried to weigh my options and decide if I wanted to have a double mastectomy or reconstructive surgery or not. So I discussed it with my husband and ended up deciding that having a mastectomy, bilateral mastectomy, was best. And I just have some pain. It's kind of where my scars were. And my arm is numb. It gets heavy. And, like when they took the lymph nodes out of my left arm, and I knew that I was going to have some after effects, some repercussions of things. So, they told me that there'd be some pain and discomfort, but, is this normal for me? Is it something that everybody's feeling? And, I had to kind of figure that out. But they gave me the compression band to wear, and, I still have numbness, and it's heavy in my arm. And I don't know if everyone has to wear it or if it's just me, but I have to wear it more often than I think I should. But it's hard to take on and off, so there's days I want to go out and not have to put it on, but it just becomes second nature to kind of deal with it, because I don't want it to take over my thinking, so I have to just put it on and go outside and do what I need to do, go to work, whatever. So I don't know, did you have some?
I don't have the numb, but it's hard to do overhead activities. I've had the bilateral. And it's just you adapt. I don't think it's that you get used to it. I think you adapt to what you have,
Right.
and you make adjustments to where you change your lifestyle a little bit. It just becomes part of who you are.
So, okay, how long since you had your surgery?
It's been over 2.5 years.
Mine's been about 3.
So even after that long of a period, you're still having all the pain and still the issues.
But you gotta learn to laugh and, find time to discuss so you don't feel like you're alone. So
Okay.
the support group kind of helps a little bit.
And too, like I know that I don't know how your doctors handle it, but I've gotten some medicine. It helps. When it gets really bad, ice works for me. An ice pack, will help with some of the pain. Have you tried?
They told me warm compresses
Okay.
and some Motrin. I've been using the Motrin, but I don't like taking a lot of stuff, especially, everything going on and the rest of the family. Too much, it can tend to just kind of take over. But the Motrin helps a little bit. I feel like I'm constantly taking Motrin.
Right.
And the warm compresses, but I don't know that I notice a whole lot of difference.
Okay.
It helps during the day a little bit, if I can lay down and relax, and I can't do as much overhead lifting, same thing that you had. Even my therapist said to kind of, limit some of the things I could do. So.
Now, mine was a little different than theirs. I had stage 2B, triple negative, and I didn't have any of the hormone receptors that they typically look for. So they had to treat my cancer differently. And I just had a right-sided lumpectomy. To this day, I still have some aching and stabbing pain, itching. I ended up going through radiation and chemo, and the radiation caused some burning. But like we were saying, it gets better. That burning did get better. The chemo caused my biggest problem in the neuropathy with my hands and feet. And like she said, when it was cold, my hands and feet, it's worse. And I just have to lay down, like she said, and rest because it's like electric shock in my hands and feet. So now none of the medicine that I've taken from my doctor has helped. A friend suggested some vitamin B, and I've been taking that, but right now I haven't noticed much change. So everybody's, I guess, a little different.
I think there's good days and bad days, don't you guys
Oh,
think?
absolutely.
Good days,
Yeah.
bad days, just with everything else too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's just hard to take it all in. I mean, you get diagnosed with it, and then it's like the whirlwind starts. Then you make your decision on which path you're going to take, and then you have the surgery, and then you almost feel like, okay, then it's done and over with. But it's almost, the way you guys are talking, it almost seems like it's going to be a lifetime of something happening, whether it's a lot of pain or it's just that feeling that something's just not right, or just the soreness.
Yep.
I have that burning sensation I noticed about 2 or 3 months after I started chemo. It feels like that just like hot water is running through you, and you get the numbness, and that was kind of scary because I wasn't expecting that. The doctors had never mentioned anything about that, or
Oh, they didn't.
no.
Have they discussed physical therapy or?
I did physical therapy at the very beginning, but then with being so sick and just all the pain and the issues going on, I didn't go back. So, I mean, trying to do things on my own, maybe start walking, little things like that,
Yeah.
but otherwise, no, I never
Don't
went
wear
back.
yourself out, especially in the beginning after having all that.
Now, did any of you guys notice any change like with your balance? Because I've been noticing that my balance seems to be off, and I've stumbled here lately a couple times.
Not so much with that, just with picking things up with my arm, and it feels heavy, and I can't always tell if something is going on with my arm. I literally sometimes have to touch to make sure I know where my arm is, and the sides tends to be more tender, and it's numb.
Yeah.
But
Now, sometimes I find myself feeling anxious. I can't sleep at night, and then I start to feel kind of like in a sad state. Did you go through that, or?
For me, mine was they had just found some cancer cells, but I did some genotyping, and I'm a carrier with the BRCA gene, and so mine was a choice to have the bilateral mastectomy, and then I went right ahead and did the reconstruction while it was there, just to hopefully lessen the chance of any further, but there's still pain. There's still, being comfortable in my skin, being comfortable just in the activities that I do, and learning to adapt to a new normal.
Now, how did you guys handle issues with your family, like with your children or your spouses? Because sometimes, when you're in a lot of pain or you're just overly exhausted from everything going on, it is just hard to really be there for everybody else when you're trying to take care of yourself.
right.
I know for me personally, and I'm a little different because I only had the lumpectomy, so I didn't. But when the neuropathy hits and it takes me down, my husband and my kids know, and they're very supportive. They helped me out, and they help get things and do things that I generally would do, but